Hey, what's up guys? I am Seba and this is my first studio session. Let's go! Alright guys, since I've got a lot of requests and questions about how I make my tracks, what I do in the studio, and especially about my new track Sinners, which I'm gonna show you today in this studio session. This is also my first studio session and I'm really excited to do this. I'm gonna show you how I'm working the studio, what I do in my projects, how I build arrangements, and also how this track got started from the scratch, you know. And yeah, let's go. Okay. So about my track Sinners, actually the idea of that track was born in Amsterdam. I was in a singer and songwriters camp with two singers in the Armada headquarters in their studios, and we started actually from nothing. And I can show you how we started this track. Actually, it was like that we were talking together, like what should we make and what kind of style should we make. And it's kind of a weird situation because you're sitting behind the studio desk and the singers are standing there and waiting for you to do something, you know. And I think the first thing that I've done was this piano part of Sinners, like from the beginning, and I think that is here. Here we have the piano. It is from Contact, and it's a Contact bank called De Grandeur, and I think it's a pretty cool, natural sounding piano. And I've started to play around with that in the studio. So at the beginning I really thought this is sounding a little bit sad, but then Mark, the singer, was starting to make lyrics and singing over it, and I actually thought this is turning out pretty cool. Even if it's a little bit sad, it also got a lot of emotions, and I think that's a cool thing. And yeah, that was the first thing that I've done. The piano. And then of course I filled it all up with effects sounds, which you can hear here. First of all, the bass line, that's really important. It gives it that underground feeling with this dark bass line. And the bass line is from Silent. I made this preset with Silent. It's sounding, now it's really, the cutoff is really low. If I put it up, it sounds like this. It's actually sounding like a really low super saw. And yeah, I've added that to fill it up.
To bed at night, we won't sleep 'cause demons wanna come alive.
Then you can hear already Mark's vocals. I can show you here. There are a lot of harmonies, and here this is the main vocal, for example.
We won't pray before we go to bed at night. We won't sleep 'cause demons wanna come alive.
And then we made some harmonies on the left side, for example.
We won't pray before we go to bed.
Actually, I just panned the main. Oh no, we just made a second. I also have to look it up. It's a few months ago. We made like a second recording, like with exactly the same, but it's never gonna be completely similar, you know. So we made a second recording in the same key, and I've panned that one to the left, And then for the right one, we also made a different recording. They panned that one to the right side. And then you gotta get a really full sound.
We won't pray.
And it's sounding cool because not all 3 recordings are sounding similar, you know. And yeah, after that, we recorded the harmonies, which are sounding like this.
Before we go to bed at night, our demons wanna come alive. We are like sinners tonight.
It's now sounding a little bit strange, but if you hear it together with the main vocals,
Before we go to bed at
this is the left harmony.
Before we go to bed at night.
And then I'm gonna put this all together.
We won't pray before we go to bed at night.
We also just added the harmonies at some points. For example, at the beginning, there's no harmony.
We won't.
And then it comes in here.
We won't pray before we go to bed at night. We won't sleep 'cause demons wanna come alive. We are like sinners tonight.
Yeah, I think that sounds pretty cool. And we've made that already in the studio. And yeah, after that, still vocals, we recorded the backing group. And that's more like a choir style vocal, also from Mark. And that's sounding like that.
We are like sinners tonight. We are like sinners tonight.
And if you like, this is only really in the background, but if you listen to all vocals together, to the main vocal, to the harmonies and the backings, it's making a really cool effect because the backing group, the choir group, is also right. It's always a little bit delayed. If you listen,
we are like sinners tonight. We are like sinners tonight. Oh.
Yeah, that's it for the vocals. So now let's jump to a new element, and that's the percussions. They're sounding like this in the break, like right under the vocals that I've just showed you. So what I've done there, this is also a contact bank. It's called Action Strikes. And there are a lot of really cool orchestral drums, or yeah, a lot of different orchestral drums. You can really play a lot with it. And yeah, that's what I've done here. This is in this part of the track.
We are like sinners tonight. We are like sinners tonight. Oh.
They are giving to the whole break this, let's call it epic, heroic feeling, I think, with the drums. And it's also not sounding too, it gives it energy, you know. That's what I wanted to do with that. Then I have in the break as well a lot of orchestra. That's sounding like this. I really like to play with the horns a lot, especially in the breaks and in the build-ups towards the drops. Yeah, here I have a horn. I'm always actually combining this with strings, violins, cellos, you know. It just gives to the whole thing this full and orchestral feeling, I guess. And now let's check out the leads of the main melody. As you can see, I'm having here a lot of layers. There are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers. Yeah, let's check out the different layers. That's a screechy lead. This is also a pretty screechy lead, and I put that 1 octave lower. Then the next one is a super saw. And here in the super saw, I'm playing the chords, you know, like. Which I didn't do with the screechy leads, because I think if you play chords with a screechy lead, it's always sounding a little bit too much, you know. They're just playing the top note of the melody. Then there's an offbeat saw, which is doing this. If I put on the metronome, it sounds like this. And I've added that to give the whole melody a little bit more of drive, you know. And if we go here, this is a low saw, also a super saw. And I've added there the offbeat as well here. Pretty low. And that whole low saw is sounding like this. This one is more to give the whole lead sound the body which it really needs. If we listen to the whole thing, it's sounding like this. The main sound of this whole lead is, I think, the screechy one, these two. But they are also not as cool as they sound with as a whole. So, and if you guys are having troubles with your lead is sounding too thin, or it's not good enough yet, there's not enough body, I always I recommend to layer, but not to overdo it, because it's also really fast overdone with the leads. If you add more and more and more, you're getting a really trashy sound, because there are too many sounds. So it's always you need to do that really carefully. So yeah, for example, how I did it here with the chords, like with the super saws, these two, they are actually combined to the main leads, to their screechy leads. They are pretty soft. They're just giving the whole thing body. Yeah. And I guess in this project I've did most of it with Silent One. It is one of my favorites when it comes to VST plugins, because it's such super fastly done. Like, you open it, it works, it's sounding good. I'm also using the virus sometimes, but mostly only for one top layer. The thing is that yeah, it's a hardware with a VST plugin, and it's lagging a bit, and I think a lot of producers out there know that there are a lot of troubles with it when it comes to latency. Even if the sound is really amazing, I'm not gonna say it's not good, it's really good, but it's just a little bit hard to handle. Yeah, and now let's check out the whole drop. Yeah, the drop is a combination of the lead, obviously, and the kick. The kick, the most important thing in the hardstyle music. Let's check out the kick. Yeah, as I remember, I really tried a lot of kicks here and I did a lot of layering stuff. But this was the end product of my punch, which is sounding like this. I rendered it already with the reverse of the attack, as you can hear. So I always like to separate the tail and the punch, because it's much easier to play around afterwards if you don't have to cut like the tail and everything around. You're much more flexible like this. Yeah. And then I've pitched all the different tones for the melody. These are the kick rolls, which are also a need in the hardstyle nowadays. Yeah, this is the main kick, but I forgot to show you the kick of the mid intro. And that one is here. I've took here in a different track. I've took here the kick from the main part. I EQ'd it a little bit differently, and as you can see here, I made like a fade and made a reverse bass out of it. And the only thing I did is I added my attack, and then the tail. And as I said, I took this tail here from the main kick of the main part of that. It is the same one, and yeah, that one I layered out of a lot of stuff, which I am not sure anymore how I did it here. If I did it in a separate project. Normally, I'm layering my kicks nowadays in the same project, because it's really for me flexible. When I want to change something in the kick, I can just do it in this project and not open another one and then bounce it and go back and forward all the time. So I recommend to do this in the project. It makes you much more flexible, and sometimes you're also even more creative with it. Okay, and now let's check out the second main break. This is the break right after the first main part drop. And actually, what I've done here is not super. It's not super hard, because the only thing I did is I took a part of the vocal from the main break before, the choir part, if you can remember, and I've put that here with some bass line, some of the orchestral stuff, and I just made this second main break. And then the melody is coming in. This is already a variation of the whole melody. And I really recommend to do this with the second break. Take parts from the previous things in the track, because you're always gonna keep the same vibe in the track. If you're gonna do something completely new and fancy, it's gonna sound like a different track. So it is always a little bit tricky. If you're gonna take sounds from the first break and put it to the second break, that it's tricky that it's not sounding too similar like the rest of the track. So it's important to make variations of the melodies, use some sounds that were before in the background and put them now in front. So you keep the vibe of the track and you're not doing all the time the same. Let's check out the drop. What I've done here, I just took the main melody of the first drop, I put it here, and I made this variation. As you can see here, I played the first note, the notes of the first bar. I just left the first one out because there's the kick, and then I made this long note with the pitch bend, which is also pretty cool sometimes. Sometimes I think it's really overdone, but it depends on where you do it and in what track you do it. I've did it here, and I think it sounds cool. Yeah. So let's check out the whole variation of the melody, the whole lead. Okay, this was the second drop of the track, and I'm gonna show you now that if I close all these little folders, the project is looking really small. There's not much left, and that's got a reason, because I put all the different tracks into folders to make a little bit, to prevent a big mess in the project. But I'm doing that normally always like when I'm almost done with the track and I prepare it for the final master, which I'm also doing myself. But like this, I have a really good overview. I know where everything is, and it's not a big mess, because, for example, when I'm opening all these folders now, you can see already it's looking pretty cool, but it's also really hard to find stuff, you know, and there are not even that many tracks in this track. There are 65 that I'm using. Sometimes I also have over 100, but it really depends on the track, you know. I always say if it's sounding good, it's sounding good. You don't need to do things that are not necessary just because you think you need to have more. If it's good, it's good. And this was the project of my track Sinners. Alright guys, thank you for joining my first studio session. It was really cool to give you some insights into my project. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comments below, or tell me what I should do in my next studio sessions. And make sure to hit that subscribe button. See you!